when it comes down to like who I am, it's just been something that I've learned like in the last 2 years, because I didn't really want to know who I was. I didn't want to slow down and think about all the things that brought me to that point.
Oh,
like
yeah.
they weren't all good things. I wanted to move them back and move on. But really, now that I know a little bit about me, some of it's annoying.
Oh, yeah. That is my good friend, Miss Christi Powell, being like supremely courageous, vulnerable, authentic. You're going to get that throughout the entirety of this conversation. And just a little teaser, she's also the co-host of Women Talk Construction podcast. So if you want to get more of her and her co-host, Miss Angela Gardner, who's going to be our next guest, check them out. But before you go there, go ahead and listen to the rest of this episode and hear a whole lot more about Ms. Christi's process of self-discovery and the resources that she tapped into to ensure that growth was going to be continuing forward. And along with those resources, she dropped some like serious cheat codes for shifting your mindset and experiencing personal growth. And even though like we tried really hard to highlight and give her some room to brag about all of the like super amazing things that she's doing out there in the industry, we were not able to cover all of them. And the most meaningful thing about being able to celebrate Miss Christi is knowing that the ripples of impact that she's having out there on the industry, on careers, on women are going to continue. And the L&M family will have made a contribution to those ripples. And of course, we're going to give a shout out to our patrons because y'all have been supporting us along with the L&M family. But you gave a pitch in and you're contributing some cash to help support the mission. And I'm like super excited to make an announcement to current patrons and future patrons. We will be donating 80% of the funds that we get from your contribution to the Skilled Trades Alliance. They're doing amazing work, and it's all about us working together to enhance the image of careers in the trades. So after you listen to this episode, go to learningsandmissteps.com, hit the become a member, and then hit the button, so that you can like serve up a double scoop of contribution, both supporting Learnings and Missteps and also supporting the Skilled Trades Alliance. And I ain't going to be standing between you and Miss Christi anymore. So here we go, baby. Miss Christi Powell. What's going on, L&M family? I'm here with Miss Christi Powell, who is, oh, you know what, Christi? I owe you a post. I was driving around the other day. I went to this this coffee shop here close to my house. I didn't even know it was a coffee shop. And there's an 84 lumber building in the back. And I saw the building. I said, hey, you know what? I need to take a picture there and give a shout out to Miss Christi Powell. How you doing, Miss Christi?
I would love that. Good. It's early for me, by the way.
Is it really? Oh,
it is.
Thank you for waking up so early.
No, I'm a sleeper. Like on the days that I don't have to work, I love to sleep in.
How late do you prefer to sleep in on the weekend?
How late? I just want to wake up when I want to wake up, right? Like when my body wakes up. My Saturday is like, let's just wake up when you're ready, right? And my whole family's that way. I've trained them well, right? But yeah, so the house is super quiet, and nobody has to go to work and school. Mm-hmm. And so we all just sleep until we're ready to wake up.
Oh my. And so when you wake up on Saturdays, do you wake up just all fabulous and put together?
Oh no, that takes work. And I don't even know that fabulous is the word, but I prefer this is why I love camping. I prefer no makeup, no curling iron,
Yes.
Like sweatpants, or not sweatpants, yoga pants,
Yep. Well, I'm camping. I'm heading to Garner State Park this afternoon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So once we're done.
I would love to see that sometime in person.
I've been there one time before with the group of friends, And I just remember like a big old rope swing off a big old giant tree and messing around in the water, but I didn't do much hiking. So I'm
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go today and I'll be there until Tuesday. So I'm definitely going to be doing some hiking and I'm going to
Nice.
have me a good time out
Are
there.
you camping
Yes, yes, yes.
in a tent?
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Awesome.
girl.
Are
Like
you, like,
let's
roughing it?
Yeah, I got 20 pounds of charcoal. I got some meat in the freezer. I got some
Nice.
prepped vegetables, and that's what we're doing. Like it's just me. And the most beautiful thing is it's just me. I'm going camping by
Mhm.
myself so I can be in
That's so
my
smart.
thoughts and gonna do it. And I'm gonna sleep. I'm gonna do what you just said.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna sleep until I wake up. And
right.
when I wake
Go to
up,
bed when you're tired,
and
right?
that's it. That's it. I
Yes.
got a couple of books. Henry Nutt just released a book, The
I
Seven
saw that.
Principles. So I got that
I'm
one.
writing that down. I gotta write that down. I forgot about his book.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, so super excited. All right. Well, enough about me, Miss Christie. Thank you for getting up early in the morning.
It's I
And
loved being here with you.
we're gonna have some fun. And I'm silly and goofy, so thank you for tolerating that. So what should the L&M family know about you, Miss Christie?
That's a really good question. So, as I was thinking that through, and I'm just going to share a little bit with you. The last 2 years of my career have been in a different role.
Ah,
So I was on a fast track, boots on the ground in sales, in building supplies, and around a lot of men, very few women. So honestly, what about to tell you about me is all new,
ooh,
all new,
let's hear it.
right? So meaning I didn't even know who I was or what drove me or why I did the things I did, why I thought the things I thought until I had to slow down. And then when I took this role, I didn't know how to dress like a girl, walk like a girl, talk like a girl,
Oh my
like none of
goodness.
it, right? Like I had been around men for 27 years.
Yeah,
And even though I was the softer of the bunch, right?
yep.
I still have male brain mentality, right? Like
Okay.
I like to hunt, I like to fish, I like race cars, I like anything that you can get your hands into and learn, right? Like I just my brain works like that. So when you back in the day when I switched to emotions, it would be weird for me. Like
Mm.
way weird. Like let's not get emotions in here, right? Like
What are those things? Get them out of
what
here.
yeah, why are we doing that right now? But yeah, so when I say that, I slowed down a minute and I started meeting some women in my field.
Hmm.
I wanted to know more about myself because they liked me, right?
Oh,
Like I was so surprised
okay.
because my whole, high school years and first few years in a job in accounting, there was always that, that struggle with women, right? Like the drama, and that was totally not me. And so I kind of just like, ooh, this is not my thing, right? So I'm not
Mhm.
going shopping. I'm not doing drama. I
Yep.
learned all the things I didn't want to do. So in my mind, I still had that mindset that all women, that's how girls were. And because I've always been very driven, career has always been, I want to say number two, but I fight with God in my career. Like
Of
me and God
course.
talk about that on a regular basis.
Yes.
So I can be a workaholic, but needless to say, when it comes down to like who I am, it's just been something that I've learned like in the
Mm.
last 2 years because I didn't really want to know who I was. I didn't want to slow down and think about all the things that brought me to that point.
Oh
Like
yeah.
they weren't all good things. I wanted to move them back and move on.
Yes.
And but really, now now that I know a little bit about me, some of it's annoying.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
so I'm very excited and passionate. You can probably already tell just by the few minutes we've talked, right?
Of
Like,
course.
and if I'm not excited and passionate, it's like I'm missing out. Like that's how I feel. Like if something's not keeping me excited or passionate, I'm missing out. I love people. I enjoy adventures. My favorite adventure is getting up in the morning and wondering where God's going to lead me for the day.
Oh my
It
goodness.
didn't
Yes.
used to be that way. I used to be a control freak. Now I'm like, okay, whatever comes my way today, like let it be for you, right? Like
Mm.
let it be for other people. So that is me. And the adventure of him leading my steps has been so fruitful. Like I get to meet people like Jesse that's changing the
Oh.
world with his podcast, right? Really. And Jen and Adam and, people that are really passionate about what they do and they care about people and they love people. So I love being a mom. And I'll be honest with you, I would have never told you that 3 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I've always loved my girls, don't get me wrong. But the whole mom thing was not, it was never something I aspired to be. I'm not sure why. Still haven't worked through that one yet.
Yep.
I still am in therapy occasionally, but I love learning. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I
Mm.
love doing things for the very first time. I love watching other people do first things.
Oh my God. Is
I
that not like
love that.
amazing?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Especially my kids, like
Yeah.
especially my girls. So I think probably that does it. Like I've been a firefighter. When I say I love learning new careers, I literally spent my entire career before I found what I do now,
Yeah.
switching jobs on a regular basis because it wasn't driving me enough.
You get
Like,
to a point, it's like, okay,
yeah,
I need
it's
more.
like, yeah, I'm not like my worth is not here anymore. Like I'm doing this mundane thing all day long. This is not for me.
Yep.
So, but when I found this industry, which I fell into, construction,
Mm-hmm.
I fell in love because every day is different.
Oh yeah.
Every day is new. Every day is new people. Like it's new everything, right? Like every day is new everything.
Yes. Yeah. New problems, new everything.
Yes. And that's challenging, right? Like that keeps you on your toes. And I've always needed something to keep me on my toes.
Okay. So there's a lot. Amazing.
That is a lot, isn't it?
It's good, but it's like there's so much. Oh, I want to go dig in everything. But it sounds like there was this point in the last 2 to 3 years. There was a real reflection point for you and you said that it caused you to pause and slow down.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Just taking a new role.
Okay.
Right. So I had been boots on the ground, like I said, out in the field, fighting the fight. And now I'm fighting the good fight, a little different fight, right? Like
Yes.
I was fighting the fight all day, materials being on the job site on time, making sure the labor's there, making sure we have the right labor for all of the, for all the jobs that my customers were working on. And thankfully, and I have had customers who have followed me everywhere, literally. And I never moved lumber suppliers unless my customers actually were telling me they were struggling.
Okay.
So I would move based on the fact that, this group of folks that I've been helping all these years were not getting what they needed. So,
Okay.
So anyway, needless to say, that was just my main focus. And being in construction, that it's really hard to slow down.
Oh yeah.
So that was consuming. Like I would be on job site all day long, and at night I would be working on blueprints as soon as my daughter went to bed. So I have a 15-year-old. And so then she was, she had a bedtime, right? She had to be at school on time. So we'd do dinner, I'd put her to bed, and then, I'd work on blueprints the rest of the night. But I did that for a long, long time. So there was no time to actually get in my own head, I guess you'd say.
I know exactly.
Sorry about that.
No,
yeah.
Sometimes we hide there. I know I do.
hide. Yes, I did hide.
I got work to do. I got all these problems. I got all these feelings to process. Negative. I'm going to go work.
Yeah. Well, it's always been my crutch, actually. Like when I'm happy, it's like an addiction, right? So when I'm happy, I want to work. When I'm sad, I want to work. When I'm mad, I want to work, because work makes me feel like I'm accomplishing something. Yes. And I'm being productive, and that's a good feeling. But when I had to slow down, I slowed down because I had to learn a new role. I went from being with men all the time to being the lead for the women business enterprise for
Ah,
84 Lumber Company. So not only was I going to be a leader of a lot more people than just my builders and their staff, or, the people that I got to see every day, which I didn't feel like that was leading. To me, that all I had to do is be kind to people, and that just worked, right?
yep.
It just
Well,
worked.
that's a secret code,
It
right?
is
For
a
leaders, like
very big
be
secret
kind.
code. Yes. But then when I took this role, I felt like I needed to step it up a notch for a couple of reasons. Like the conversations that happen on site, they're they're not they're not as professional as what I was getting ready to step into. That's the nicest way I can put that.
Yes, yes.
So, there were days that I even was saying things like, "Hey, you know where my winders are?"
Yeah.
So, just being funny there, because I live in the South, and I
Hmm.
tend to like gravitate towards that talk anyway. I had to like do some deep reflection. First of all, like I was gonna have to be around all these women, and I didn't know how to
Mm.
dress. Like I said, I didn't know how to act. I didn't know how to talk to girls. Like I knew nothing. I had not had girlfriends all my life, really. Like
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
it was, yeah, just really all my life. And all my customers were my best friends.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Of
because they were the people I spent the most time with.
course.
So that's why I had to slow down and just kind of think things through. Like, where am I? This is what I want. I'm very excited about this next chapter of my life. Maybe I can make a difference for other people.
Yeah.
I was already feeling kind of not bored, but like I'd maxed out all the things I could do in the role that I was in. But I had also managed a couple of stores for a lumber yard,
Okay.
and knew that was not my thing.
Hmm.
You have to be a psychiatrist to manage that many people.
It's the people. Well,
It is.
the
It's
work.
all the people.
The
Yes.
work is always the work.
Yes.
Construction,
Yes.
fast food, it
Yes.
doesn't matter. Work
Right.
is easy. It's the people
It is
that make it meaningful, interesting, and darn
challenging.
challenging.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So I knew that stepping up from that sales position
Mhm.
obviously was, management in a location, in a lumber yard, or in a building supply company. And I didn't want to have anything to do with that. After a couple of years of doing what I had done, I just like, this is too exhausting for me. Like, and it made me dive into my emotions, which I didn't think about
Ooh,
until I
okay.
took this job. Like,
Yes.
that's one of the reasons I didn't like that job, because when you're helping other people through challenges, which is your employees, then you have to reflect.
Oh, yeah.
And reflection was not my thing. you know, like
Yes.
avoid it at all cost was kind of my motto, right? So yeah, so that's why I really had to like stop and take a look. And I'll tell you what drove me, which is kind of funny, but this is my MO. What drove me to be better was the fact that I wanted to be a good example.
Ah, okay. To
It
others.
was it wasn't because I was wanting to reflect. I wanted, if I was going to be in a role where people were watching, I wanted to make sure that I did a really good job, and that I did it the best that I could be, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's what drove me to have to
Mhm.
reflect.
Yes.
I signed up for therapy,
Good for you.
like,
Good for you on 2
immediately.
levels, that you did it and you're
Well,
not ashamed to announce it.
oh, no, I'm not now. No, I would have been when I started. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't
Yeah.
even tell my husband at first.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah,
So
like,
serious, serious. Yeah,
it was
yeah.
serious, like, and if he would have asked me, it would have been something like, I'm just trying to make sure that my career's on track. I wouldn't have
Uh-huh.
said anything like, I got stuff I got to deal with, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it started. And I really walked in there with that whole proud attitude, right?
Of course.
That we have so much in common. I've heard your story. I walked in there with that real proud attitude. Like, I don't know that I really need a counselor, but I do need somebody to help me with this next job position that I'm
Yeah.
moving into, right? Like, I don't have problems. I
I
just
don't
want
have
you to
problems.
know
This is
that right
really
away,
yes,
right?
yes.
I just have a new role and I'm not sure how to navigate, and I would love to have some have some critical, thinking
Of
around that.
course.
And so that was funny how that worked. But
Oh, yeah.
we didn't
So
talk much about work for a while. I'm just saying.
were you
Yeah.
okay, so I'll share my experience with this latest and I still my therapist, Daniela, we've been working together for over a year for sure. And I'm thinking like there's this one thing, right? Here's the little box I'm gonna allow you to play in, and I'm gonna work on that. And we didn't even touch that. We're talking about everything else. And I'm like, wait a minute, girl, like this isn't like we're out of bounds here. I kept trying to bring it back, and she wouldn't let me. But I'm grateful for it because it
Mhm.
really helped me discover what was blocking me. And
Mhm.
of course, it was me.
Yeah.
I've over the years, I've learned these types of techniques and behaviors to guard myself and isolate myself, so much so that now they're just instinctual,
Mhm.
and it creates this cycle of whatever I was living in at the time. And since I've ultimately it got me to a place of vulnerability,
Right.
and it's so counterintuitive because in vulnerability you're exposing yourself. People can judge you, people can hurt me all of a sudden.
Mhm.
But here's the super interesting thing is the amount of energy that I was spending to guard myself. And like I hit a limit of growth.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't have to put new energy to perform better. It was the inverse of that. I
Right.
just saved my energy from guarding myself, and my performance in the different ways to serve and share my gifts and talents exploded wide open.
Yes.
Same, huh?
Yes. I can totally relate to that.
it's
Same
it
thing. And I had no idea, right? Like, no idea what kind of energy I was using
Mhm.
to keep anybody from knowing who I was, including myself.
Yes, yes.
Like,
It's yeah.
yeah, it's super crazy. And how enlightening was it, like the first time that you realized, and I know you want to talk about me, but how enlightening was it when the first time you realized that, wow, I kind of like myself.
Oh, Christy, so there's two things there. One is I wasn't that was kind of the exact question that I went to the table with,
Mm,
because I'm I'm totally like I'm 100% okay with not being in a romantic relationship.
right.
Right? Because I know that I'm not prepared to sacrifice the amount of time and focus
Mm,
that a healthy relationship requires. I just
that's
know that.
so smart.
But I wasn't sure if I was a bad person because of that. Like,
Mm,
what's wrong with me? Or is there something wrong with me? And so
right.
there was always this fight, like this
Mm,
need, like I should date somebody, I should whatever, right? And every time I did that, it was, there was great things in those in that kind of companionship, but the stress that it brought me was,
mm,
and I'm like, what's wrong with me? Why am I getting stressed? And anyway, so we got to figure all of those things out. And I remember one call, she's like, Jess, like it's okay. Like
yeah.
it's not like you're out there leading ladies on, and I need to say anymore, right? It's not like you're out there leading them on and giving them false hope. You're shutting it down right out of the gate. I'm like, yes, ma'am, I am. She's like, and because you're doing that, you're a good person. I was like,
Right.
oh my goodness. And I remember
Aw,
thinking, like, I'm a good guy.
I know.
And then when I start, so that I was really like the goofy conflict, the cyclical conflict was, why can't people see all of me? Why don't
Mm,
people want all of me?
mm. Interesting.
But I had all these systems and measures in place to never give them all of me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Yeah,
so,
that's where all the energy went.
yes. So when all of a sudden they saw the different, the thoughtful side or the goofy side or whatever, the sensitive side, it would shock them. And their shock was a signal to me of, I interpreted that as rejection. And so I cut them off, and it was all me, right? Like it was all me. And so all
Yes.
of a sudden I'm like, man, little scared. I'm going to be all me all the time. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, people really like me. Like,
I know. Isn't that cool?
this is, super
It's
cool.
so cool.
So freeing. So you access the therapist in terms of resources for this life adjustment.
Yeah.
Were there any other resources that you've accumulated along the way? Ooh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think probably one of the biggest eye-opening resources that I had during that time of growth was Braving the Wilderness by Brene Brown.
Oh, girl, Brene Brown.
I'm telling
Absolutely.
you. But that book, I love how, I told you earlier, I love how adventures work, right?
Yes.
That was the very first book I was committed to listening to all the way through. I'm not a reader.
Okay.
Everything has to be short. I'm a nugget person. Like
Yes.
it has a lot to do with my attention span. It has a lot to do with, I just love nuggets of truth. That's kind of my mind. That's how my mind works. And I committed to that book, listening to it all the way through, and I did it in 2 days, which is a miracle for me. Miracle. And especially with the amount of things I was consuming at the time too. It wasn't, I was learning a new job. I didn't know anything about being a woman-owned business, like all the things, right? Like I was consuming all of the information. But still that book was just such an eye-opener for me in the fact that she shared so many real, authentic things that I could relate to. And it didn't affect her in a negative way other than at the time, right? Like, obviously she's successful. Obviously her authenticity has helped millions of people. That was a huge game changer for me.
Yes.
Knowing that she was vulnerable and authentic, and look at her now.
Yes.
Like that's always been kind of my thing. Like, show me first, and then maybe I'll think about it. Show me that it works, and then maybe I'll think about it. So that it's just a game changer for me. And just hearing her perspectives and all, I'm a facts and figures kind of girl.
Okay.
So hearing all of her research really, really sunk into my head.
Yeah.
So that research and all the nuggets of truth, that's what I call that, right? Facts and figures, nuggets of truth, really got my head in the right space when it came to George Floyd, when it came to LGBTQ, when it came to religion, when it came to politics, because you have to remember when I started reading this, it was COVID, July 2020, I took this position.
Oh my goodness.
The whole world changed.
Absolutely.
3 months before I took a new job where my whole life changed, right?
Yes.
So it was like, I didn't know how to navigate the George Floyd, I didn't know how to navigate all those things. And so just hearing her perspective on the facts and the figures helped me put it all in line where it needed to be.
Yes.
If that makes sense. Like,
totally.
It was so confusing, and it was great to be able to tell my kids, I think that I have an answer for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What my girls have inspired me to be a good example. So I wasn't always a good example with my oldest. She's 32. Like I did all the wrong things, just like you were saying. I did. Anyway, I did all the wrong things. Poor girl. The fact that she made it and she's alive is amazing. She, my inspiration comes from once I got my act together, I really wanted to be a good example for my girls. Nice. And that meant, stepping up, being a leader, being the nice person in the group and not feeling sorry for it, all those things. So when I was back to the book, it helped me put things in a line that made sense to me, and it wasn't far left and it wasn't far right,
Yeah.
like in any of the subjects, right? Like I was taking all the information, and I know that I'm smart enough to make my own decisions. I
Yes.
don't have to listen to somebody else. Get
Yes.
all the facts, get all the figures, and then let's talk about it like human beings and be nice to each other about the conversation, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where that book brought me. But at the same time, the authenticity and the vulnerability piece of that book just put it all together for me. Like that was the glue for all the stuff that had been hanging outside of my head all my life, if that makes any sense.
100%. You know,
Like,
her stuff, I did it backwards. I got introduced to Brene Brown, and I was told in like my last serious relationship that I was not vulnerable. I'm like, what do you mean I'm not? I'm totally vulnerable. And then I asked a few people, that have been lifelong friends, and they're like, yeah, Jesse, you're like the least vulnerable person I know. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I said, well, I need to learn about vulnerability. And so I started Googling, and I saw Brene's TED Talk.
oh
And
gosh,
yeah. And I said, okay, I need to buy her books. And I can't remember. I think the first one I read was Dare to Lead. And then boom, 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 I read 2 more of her books. And then it was clear, like, oh yeah, okay, I'm not vulnerable. And to your comment about being able to connect all the pieces, the first person that I was not authentic with was myself. And
absolutely.
and I had, she talks a lot about shame, and a lot of her work is on studying shame and the impact
Yes.
of that. And I'm like, oh my goodness, okay, I got that one too.
Yeah.
And here's the awesome thing is, as I become more authentic with myself and more vulnerable about my thoughts and my feelings, reconciling these types of things like the George Floyd incident and COVID and everything else that's happened is so much easier, because you know what? It's what I believe and what I feel.
Right.
And you don't have to believe and feel what I believe and feel. And we can
And
talk
it's
about it.
okay.
And
Yeah.
it's okay.
It is just
100%.
okay. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
I love
Woo.
that.
Well, so a couple of things. Like, I want to point this out to the L&M family, and thank you for sharing these like huge life lessons, right? Slow down,
Yes.
pause, and access resources to help you in your growth. Like
Yes.
simple things
Very
along, be
simple.
kind, but profound, right?
It is. Yes.
Profound. And then you talked about nuggets. You like nuggets. And so here's a nugget. There's a book coming out with a nugget or two directly from you, Miss Christi.
Aw.
Yeah.
I
So
forgot about that until you
yeah,
just
our book
mentioned
is
it.
coming out. It's going to be here. Lean in Love,
I'm so
5S
excited
in
about that.
relationships. And there's during the live streams on the 5S in relationships, you had asked or commented about a checklist for like the things we were talking about. And so we have one. We put one together,
Oh, that's awesome.
inspired by you, Miss Christi. So as soon as that thing comes out,
I
I
love it.
hope you enjoy what you see. So, and thank you
Yes.
for your contribution there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, that was so
I was
exciting.
so honored when you told me that. I was like, "Oh, that's so cool,"
Yeah.
But that's back to that point, right? Of what I learned is my authenticity and vulnerability to
Mhm.
ask for the things that I need have
Yes.
helped so many people, not just me. Like
Yes.
I've always been focused on others and not me. And what happens is you get ran over, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
that's when you put your guard up and you don't want anybody else to know who you are.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
but I've also seen so much good from that, from me being
Mhm.
authentic and vulnerable. Then I see other people being more authentic and
It's
vulnerable.
contagious.
And then I realize that I'm not the only one that
Yes.
thinks about these things, right?
Yes.
And that also makes you feel good that you're not like separate from everybody else. That's what happens to us, right? When we put up that big guard, is that we really cut ourselves off from the world and even our own self.
Yes. Yeah, we tell ourselves a lie, and then we spend all our energy making everybody else believe it.
Yes, true. That is so true. Yeah.
Let's just not do that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you were a firefighter,
I
and you
was.
mentioned several other careers. So I'm wondering, way back, I don't know, as far back as you're willing to go, middle school, high school, what career was it that you were working towards at that time in your life?
This is so funny. I wanted to be a lawyer.
Oh, okay.
And it was because even at a young age, all these things we just talked about, you know what you have to be really good at when you're faking it? Negotiating.
Yeah.
You got to make
Yes.
everybody believe what you're faking, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, truly, like I didn't want people to know what I was dealing with, what my life was like, right? So, I was just a great negotiator at an early
Mm.
age. And then, my passion and excitement included with that negotiation turns into a very fruitful argument. I've always been very good at
Oh,
pulling up facts and figures, finding all the right details to have a short conversation with a male, right? Men don't want to talk for a long time. So that I learned over 27 years, right? Being in
yep.
the industry. But, I put all that together and I can tell you in 3 sentences how we can make the WBE world a better place.
Boom.
And
Yeah.
and people are like, whoa, really?
Yeah.
Like, how did you get there in 3 sentences? Well, a lot of thought, research, facts, figures. And so when it comes to an argument,
You're
I
ready.
got it. Like, you're not going to win this. I won't even go into it with you. If I think that you might win, I'll
Yeah.
wait until I have all the information, unless you're my friend. And then, I might over dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. Have that
Okay, like
conversation.
I'm just thinking out loud right here, but this is what I think, right? But otherwise, I'm like I'm not going to the table in an argument that matters
Mm.
without all the ammo. I
Mm.
got all the ammo.
Good. So you mentioned,
Lawyer was great for me at that time. Like I was that way even then.
were you in like a debate group
I
in school?
wasn't.
Oh, you weren't. You were
No, I
just
was
good
big
at,
into sports. I was
ah,
super big into sports, and you could hide in sports easily,
oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
totally.
I was a cheerleader for 1 year. Hated it. Hated it.
Really?
Yes, hated it.
Was it the personalities that you didn't like or?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't like my personality because I was trying to pretend to be like somebody that even more so that I wasn't.
Oh, I see.
If that made sense, right? Like I was trying to fit in with people that weren't my people. I didn't know that at the time,
Mhm,
but I
mhm.
was just very uncomfortable in that space. So,
Yes.
so most of the girls I was on the cheerleading squad with maybe had a better home life in my mind,
Uh-huh.
right? I didn't know that, but
Right.
in my mind, they had a better home life. They had more money. They had better clothes. They had better cars. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
it felt like an uncomfortable space to me, and they weren't kind to me. But that was just now I know at getting older,
Right.
that was just high school girls, right?
Yes.
I I have always that has been probably one of my biggest gifts is being kind
Yeah.
to the point that you get walked all over all the time. So I never felt like I fit in really with anybody
Mhm.
because even though I put up this big facade, I always wanted to make other people feel better than me.
Yep.
So I just felt like I didn't fit in. But
Yep.
anyway, I got out of cheerleading really quickly.
It jumped
Didn't
into
even try
sport.
out the second year. Yeah, and
Yeah.
my mom's a golf pro.
Ah.
So I had to play golf whether I wanted to or not anyway. So I just added track and field and some other things and I loved it and I was really athletic. So I loved that I was good at it, right? Just like work. I was good at it. So I just wanted to do more and more and more.
Yes.
But if I wasn't good at it, I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, so there's that like comfort zone thing, right? Like I'm gonna
Mhm.
do what I'm good at because for me to learn something new is going to show that I'm not good at it. So I'm just gonna keep doing this thing over
Yeah.
here that other people and it's like reinforcing because everybody else like, wow, you're so great. You're so good at this. And the fact is, I'm a big chicken.
Yeah.
Because I ain't trying nothing new.
Totally. Well, I love trying things new. That was the difference between me and you. I got bored way too easily. So I enjoyed being out of my comfort zone as long as I wasn't in the front. And maybe that's why cheerleading was terrible, right? For me.
You're up front.
Because you're in front, right?
Yeah.
Like learning something new when nobody else knows I'm learning something new is totally different scenario, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Now, you talk about high school dynamics.
Yeah.
And, I wonder what are your thoughts. So here's my thought on it. I've worked for multiple companies. I've worked for trade partners. I've worked for general contractor. I've worked for owners.
Me too.
And it always feels like high school. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, that's so hilarious. You just mentioned that. We are in the last 3 weeks, I've been in conversations with some of my best executive friends about this very thing.
Really?
We are just amazed. There's a few of us that are just really amazed at the amount of people in their 30s to 50s, in our age group that are still in that mentality. Like that's mind blowing to me because I left that behind for a reason. And so stepping into this role and being around a lot of executives, I thought that things were going to be would look a little differently. Right.
Yep.
And I thought that we would all conduct ourselves like adults.
Sure.
And it is like, sometimes it's like grade school. You have to admit it.
Only when I'm there.
Well, I mean, I'm always acting like that, by the way. You don't know that about me yet, but I'm like the queen dork of my family.
Oh, okay? I love it. Yeah.
So that's probably the transparent thing that I probably wouldn't tell somebody right off the bat, but I am the biggest dork and I really like it now. I used to hide. Now, don't tell anybody I'm a dork, right?
Sure.
Now I'm like, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. But yeah, we are struggling a little bit. I am personally struggling with the fact that adults are acting like children, right?
Yep.
Petty and, ego, the ego trips and the, and it's not just men like it's men and women. It's all people, but It's been surprising.
Yes. Now, well, I think it's important lesson for the L&M family is like, for real, people are people. That like we think. I know me when I left the trade partner space, I was there for over 20 years. And I'm going to the big gigantic GC and I'm thinking like these are going to be the sharpest, like just the elite of the elite because of their education and the amount of billions of dollars of backlog that they're managing and this sort of thing. And not to say there weren't some super talented and amazing people to work with, but it ain't like in the movies where the executives are like whip smart. They know what they're going to like. Everybody's just trying to figure it out.
Right.
People are people.
I do love that. Yes.
And I'm like, oh, I think I can play with these folks.
Yeah.
And it, again, back to like, that was along the same timeline of me investing in myself and building my discovering my vulnerability, making these realizations at the same time. So all of a sudden I went from the bottom of the barrel, being lucky to be at the table, to saying, no, I've got tremendous value to offer.
Yes.
And here I am. I'm going to bring it. Are you ready?
Yes.
Totally different. So WBE, can you tell us what those letters stand for?
I can.
Okay.
I can now.
All right.
It's Women Business Enterprise.
Okay.
So I handle all the women-owned business for 84 Lumber.
Okay.
And it really got created so that women would have a level playing field in all business. So the government saw that women were not getting the kind of business that they needed. And this program came out of that. It's, we're going to help women succeed and this is how we're going to do it, kind of thing. And so the government started it. And it did make a huge change, like right away, within 5 years, I think it was, they had already given $17.7 million worth of business to women-owned businesses. Like they were
Okay.
able to track that. And it's just evolved from there.
Okay.
And each culture change, each generation has added its value to that too. So now it's even better than it was before. The government is doing it. Now they have ESGs, which I don't know if you're familiar with that. I'm just familiarizing myself with it. But it's environmental, social, and governance responsibility.
Okay.
And now these investors out there are expecting the people that they do business with to be that.
Yes.
To make sure that they're responsible in environment and responsible in social.
Yep.
And then responsible in governance of, whatever field that they're playing in or working in. It's been really interesting. And back to my lawyer piece, right?
Yep.
Like all the things that I'm learning about the government and being able to talk to policy makers, it's been really cool because I'm satisfying that very early dream that I thought was never going to go anywhere, to now I'm very involved and I understand policies and procedures and I want to learn more and I want to be a voice of reason in the room if I get the opportunity. And that's been super cool to be able to live that baby dream, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not a lawyer. I don't have to argue all day.
Oh, yes. Well, I've had the privilege of witnessing your professionalism and your focus on getting somewhere, because are you excited about us getting Skilled Trades Alliance
Oh,
kicked back
yeah.
up?
Yes, very excited. That's one of the highlights really of my career, honestly, is being
Really?
involved in Skilled Trades Alliance. Yeah. Just knowing that I've always loved startups. That's why I switched jobs a lot, because if there was a new startup company, I was all about that. And so when Adam reached out to me, I was so excited because, not only was it a startup, but it was a startup that mattered. Like
Yes,
it
ma'am.
fit all my excitement and all my passion and all my startup loving things all into one place. And just getting to know you and getting to know Adam and just being on the board of the Skilled Trades Alliance, that's been such a blessing to me.
Yes.
Seeing
Likewise.
other people that love the same things that you do, right?
Absolutely.
Making the workforce a much better place.
Yes, that's what it's all about. Now, so Skilled Trades Alliance, WBE, you made this big transformation. So
Yeah.
I think you kind of undersold what people need to know about you at the
You
beginning.
think so?
And
There's too much.
it's amazing. Here's the thing, is you're a gracious and humble human being, kind.
Oh, thank you.
And just like what you took away from watching Brene, listening to her message and seeing where she is today, you're going to do the same thing for other people.
Yes.
If people don't know about all the ways that you're contributing to leave this world better than you found it,
yes,
you're underserving. So
yes.
what's the other thing? There's this, I heard about a podcast that you're co-hosting. Let's hear about that.
So we have a podcast called Women Talk Construction, and that just happened. Gosh, everything just happened so fast. So I can't even tell you the time frame. But we actually launched our first podcast on March the 7th, which was Women in History Month, but Women in Construction Week.
Yes.
So I'm on there with my co-host, Angela Gardner. Between the two of us, we have 58, 60 years of experience, boots on the ground, right? Like real-time construction efforts, but also a lot of entrepreneurship ideas.
Yep.
She ran all three of her dad's companies, and her dad was a famous architect. So we have a lot of information. And when we were able to get together and like make that click happen, we were like, and then my passion about helping other people and her passion about helping other people, not just women, but everybody.
Yep.
It just made sense. And then, we were being asked questions on a daily basis from, not only our customers, but people who knew us in the community, or, I was involved in a lot of organizations, and we were being asked on a regular basis, hey, how do I get more women to work with me? Like, we need more women in our space. How do we do that? And so after 25 coffees with folks, we decided we have a job to do. We can't really do that. So let's just do a podcast, and it's going to help our companies. It's going to help our environment. I want more than anything for everybody to remember me by the fact that I made it better for them.
Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
I was able to do things to make things better for the next generation. And hopefully I can see that before I die, right? That would be wonderful. And we are seeing a change. But yeah, that's what Women Talk Construction is all about. We don't talk just about construction. We're interviewing women like the bomb.com women, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable. So I went from not knowing any women to the best women in the world.
Yeah, of course.
That was the coolest thing ever. Like, I didn't even know that these women were powerhouses, right?
Yes.
In all kinds of industries. I wasn't alone anymore. And it was so cool to not feel alone. And so we're interviewing these women, and we're telling their stories so that the next generation, even mostly girls, right? But the next generation of people, we want them to see that we can do it.
Yes.
We can do whatever we want to do, right? We can do whatever we want to do. All you have to do is say, hey, I think I want to do that. And then you be vulnerable, and you be authentic, and you ask somebody, can you help me do this? And we are just really encouraging the workforce, trying to get more people to see that there's so many options out there.
Yes.
If you don't want to go to college, there's so many options out there. If you do want to go to college,
yes,
there are so many things that you can do. I was working 3 jobs when I fell into construction.
Wow.
And when I fell into construction, and I was a single mom. So when I fell into construction, I did not have to work 3 jobs anymore. I want everybody to know that. Like, I want you to understand this is not only a great job where people are family oriented, but it's also a great paying job. You can take care of your family, right? So Angela and I's passion around many things has created Women Talk Construction.
Well, sister, your passion is bleeding through right now. I got chills. I'm like, let's go do this. Whatever it is, I'll follow you. Tell me what to do.
I'm very motivated. Very motivated. But I think really and truthfully, the whole goal of Women Talk Construction, like I said, was to just get the word out. People aren't talking about it enough. And women in general. And we're not just interviewing women. We're going to have you on the podcast. Yes. We are also interviewing men who support women well.
Awesome.
So we want the next generation, we want everybody to hear why you do that, because we have been quiet. Women in general don't like to boast. The hardest thing I've ever done since I took this role is to write my own, just like you said, I undersell myself, right? Like, I don't want to boast. But you know what a really wise woman told me one time? She said, if we don't, as women, start talking about the great things we're doing, how are we going to teach the girls coming behind us to do great things? And I was like, oh, like, my feed for being a good example was like, oh, I got to do this.
100%.
So I'm learning, but I still have to have a writer to write my own stuff. Like, I can write other people's great achievements, right? Like, I can list them all forever, but it's so hard to talk about yourself. So that's why the podcast was important to Angela and I. Yes. We are lifting these women up and letting them tell their story, and they don't feel like it's a conversation like you and I are having. So they don't feel like they're out there going, I did this and I did that. Yeah. It's a conversation and a storytelling type of thing.
Oh my goodness. I've listened to several of the episodes, and I'll just L&M family, you got to check it out, because if you need, for me, this is what it does for me. Amazing people, you said it, right? Bomb.com hosts, bomb.com guests.
Oh.
But the conversation is so calming. Like, it's soothing. It soothes me. I feel like, man, that was a very pleasant experience. I just want to chill now.
I love that.
It's please.
Nobody's ever said that before, so thank you. Like, that must be the thing. I have heard people say your voice is soothing, right?
Yes.
Like, my husband and my kids do not tell me is soothing. Nobody's ever told me that before. So hopefully it is. But it's great.
Is.
It's great to know that we're not only like sharing some really important things, but it's also making you feel like this, this is calming, and this is something I really want to listen to. It's very positive.
Yes.
There's no negativity in it.
No.
And my big thing too with this podcast, Angela and I both feel the same way, is we're never going to put another human being down on this podcast ever. We're better together. Men and women are better together, right?
Yes,
we were created differently, and when we put all of our gifts together, we're better together.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No, it is absolutely an experience. The content is gorgeous, but it is an expansive experience to listen to y'all, understanding the mission. It again, y'all got to check it out because I said so, and that's the bottom line. You remember that one? So, Miss Christi, you've got an incredible amount of experience, and you've served the people out there in so many different ways. And along that path, I imagine you've had some learnings and missteps.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I want to know is, what is a significant learning you had as a result of a painful misstep?
So I guess I'm still struggling with that one.
Okay. Oh, man, I know it was just getting good. And here I am breaking up the flow again. But I can't help myself. If you want the rest of this tasty morsel of goodness, head on over to our YouTube channel and look for the Backstage Pass playlist. You're going to find this one and a whole library of previous Backstage Passes where our guests share like super intimate stuff, like ultimate cheat codes for self-discovery and personal growth. There's a lot of value there for you and for any youngins, any of the younglings in your life. And if you want to get this fire, this Backstage Pass fire before anybody else does, go on over to learningsandmissteps.com, hit the become a member button, do all the stuff you need to do, select a thing. But everybody that becomes a patron will get first access to every single Backstage Pass that we record going forward. And just in case you missed it, those funds are going to contribute to enhancing the image of careers in the trade. 80% of that is going to be going to Skilled Trades Alliance. The other 20%, the Learnings and Missteps, is going to keep that to pay taxes and do some other things. We are blessed and we are fortunate, and we are here to spread the love and share the wealth with people that are carrying the same mission and demonstrating the behaviors that we see. Okay, that's enough. Now we're going back to the show. Peace. Thank you for sharing that, because that's a pretty darn significant learning, right?
Yeah.
And it's not one of those learnings that we can get from watching a webinar.
No.
Right? It just kind of slaps you in the face.
Well, I think it's funny too. Do you find that you are more inclined to make friends with people that are nothing like you?
Oh, totally.
So it's been really weird. I step back now and look, and like all of my friends are super laid back.
Yes.
Almost all of them. And I'm like, okay, so they're just evening all of my up and,
Yep.
excited, passionate, like
Yep.
always over the top. They're just settling me down, right?
Yes.
Because they're always so laid back. Even when I get really excited and passionate, they're just really calm. And like, even Angela, like, she's like that.
Super
Like,
calm. Yeah.
she's super calm. Yeah, super calm. So I'll get super excited about something and I'll be like, let's go. Right. And then she's just like, yeah, let's go. But I
Yeah.
love it because it's just helped me stay even. If
Yes.
that makes sense. Like
Totally.
when I get up here, it brings me back down to, and even is good. I never used to think even was good.
Yes.
Even
Yes.
is good.
Even is great. Adam and I were just talking about that this week because he had a major celebration. He had a workshop locally.
Yes,
in
yesterday.
yes, and it was.
One of my friends got to go to that.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
Oh, I bet they had. Man, Adam,
He's the
that
bomb.
boy is a passionate man
He
and
is.
smart. Like he's got it going on. And we were talking about improvement. And probably you too, a bunch of the people I know suffer from, we don't know how to celebrate. Like we can
Yes.
have a big win and the only thing we see is what didn't happen.
Right.
And
We see the negative. What we
yes,
gotta fix, what we have to fix.
what do we got to fix? And it's like, well, for me, because I'm a lean freak, what's continuous improvement?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've conditioned myself. That's the excuse I use for that behavior. And the truth is, nothing can operate at 100% all the time. Nothing. Robots, machines, they all need to be serviced. They all need to be maintained. And I'm also kind of human, so same thing.
Yes.
We got to turn it off. You surrounding yourself with calm people. It's like this. What's the word? Intuitive. Like you're not even subconsciously intuitive thing that you're doing to balance yourself. And
Yeah.
there's I can't remember where I read it somewhere, and it was talking about, and it's a practice that I have. So it's like I created my own personal advisory council. And
I have that too.
do you really?
Yes.
Oh, so
I love it. Yes. And that was something Brene taught me.
Maybe that's where I got it from. That's probably where I got it from. And I specifically, like, I'm fortunate that there's amazing superheroes in my life that will tolerate me. Let me add that part. Yeah. But the advisory council they're specifically there for very specific reasons. Like they're amazing people that I respect and appreciate, and they value me. And so there's that. But I have real gaps. Like there's things that I need to work on, like my energy. I need people that are, that can help me balance that. And I need people that are very practical in their thinking.
Yes.
Because I'm like, oh, there's a hill. Let's jump off of it. Like, let's go.
That's me. Let's jump out of an airplane today. That sounds like fun.
It'll be fun. What about parachutes? We'll order those. We'll be all right. So beautiful. And that's what it's all about. There's people around us. How do we connect with them? And how can we be intentional about who we select to have and speak into our lives? Because we absolutely are making a choice when we've got people around us.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. And I think I did learn that from Brene. And that advisory council is so key. Have you noticed that when you run into a challenge, that if it's really hard and you've thought about it for days, it's like, okay, it's time to bring the troops in, right? Yep. And you start making phone calls. I need to know what you think about this, and I need your honest opinion.
Yep.
And, each one of those advisory councils has a different part of their personality that you need to keep you in line.
Yes.
Per se, right?
Yes.
And sometimes that's your therapist.
Yes, absolutely.
Sometimes it's your doctor. Sometimes it's, it's an executive that you admire that you want to be like someday, or you want to be more like, or sometimes it's Jesus.
Yes.
Like really and truthfully, it just helps keep you in line. And then you take all that data, I'm a facts and figures girl, and I take all that data that I get from all those people, and then I put together what my next step is. Like, it's no longer a challenge.
Yep. And they see it so clearly. Like, for me, it's like, wow, how do I not see that?
I know.
All good. Lesson learned. Carry it forward.
Well, you can't see the tree. You can't see the trees for the forest. No, you can't see the forest for the trees. That's what it is. Yeah, I do that too. Especially when you're like, you and I are like excited and passionate and, a go-getter. So you just want to jump off the cliff. Why do we have to wait to jump off the cliff? Why do we have to go get a parachute? Like, just jump. What the heck is wrong with you people?
Let's have some fun. Come on.
and your advisory group's going, okay, here's the clothes you need to wear. Here's the safety glasses. Here's your hard hat. Here's the parachute. Each one of those members of your advisory council plays a perfect role.
Yes, ma'am. 100%. Oh my goodness. Okay. So we're sliding into home. I'm excited about your response to this question. And so the question is, what footprint do you intend to leave on the world?
Well, I think I hit on it a little bit earlier, is that I just want the space that we are navigating right now, which is non-traditional careers. We want it to be better. Like, I really want that footprint. I want a female in my role to be able to walk in to that job at the age of 20s and 30s, whatever that happens to be for someone, and feel welcome and a better sense of kindness there, right? Like, our industry is wild. Lots of yelling and screaming, I hope that footprint is going to make it a better, that what we're doing, as a group, it's not just me, but I hope that my effort is going to leave a footprint where kids are going to start coming into our industry and go, this is a great place to work, and it makes me feel good to be here.
Yes, ma'am.
Like, it's not just a great place to work. It feels good to be here. And building a community for women where they feel supported and know that they are enough and they can be anything and do anything. Those are two footprints, but I think that they really align together.
Yeah.
And, we have those events called Women Confidence Builders, who now BMW is actually going to be partnering with us in August.
Woo!
So it's going to go from a sold out event to a mega sold out event at a convention center, which is all like amazing. We've only had 3 events. So that was so surprising, but it's called Women Confidence Builders. And that's where we're building everybody up to have confidence, and not just women are invited, men are invited too. And we're sharing stories about confidence, and kids are leaving there. We're inviting high school students, and kids are leaving there feeling like they can do anything. They leave that lunch feeling like they can do anything. So that's the footprint. And Laura Biggerstaff and I actually started that out of just a passion to help others feel the way we do, better, more confident. Therapy's okay. Being kind to each other is okay. We can change the world one gentle conversation at a time. That's my thing. I love to say that.
Yes.
Love to say that. We're better together, right? Those two things. We just really want to emphasize that. So that's the footprint that I hope is something that people would talk about me when I'm gone, right?
Yeah. Well, Christi, I'm going to request that when you find a way for me to contribute to your footprints, please invite me.
Oh, I would love that.
I want to be a part of that. You're amazing. You've done so much. And we talked about a lot of really great things. Like here at the end, you're still dropping these nuggets. I'm like, we'll put together a conference. No big deal. And I bet there's just a whole other list of amazing things that you've done. And I know, because this is just truth, I know there's a whole list of people, human beings out there that you've touched directly and indirectly that you may not know who they are, but it's
Right.
happening, right? Like that's what you're doing. And that's the thing. That's the most important thing here as it relates to the podcast, is because we want to, if people saw us on a job site,
They would not know.
they don't know.
Mm-mm.
What do construction professionals do? What, like change the world? Well, at least Christi does. What?
So does Jesse. So does Jesse and Jen and Adam.
Yeah, like there's so many people out there doing amazing
Angela.
things for their community.
Yeah.
So thank you for giving us your time. Any shout outs you want to offer for any of your people?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have to shout out to, I was telling you earlier, our Women Talk Construction. We have an amazing human being who has volunteered all of their time and effort to making our podcast successful because he believes in what we do.
Wow.
And it matters to him. And actually, he said one time that he is doing this because God called him to let me shine right now. And it just so happens to be my husband.
Oh, shout out to Christi's husband.
Yes. And honestly, I could probably tear up right now, but the man is a genius when it comes to technology. He has his own technology company, but he uses it as a ministry. Oh. And so it has been super cool to work with him. So, obviously Angela and Laura, you guys, like, shout out to Skilled Trades Alliance, shout out to Women Builders Council in New York. They're doing some great things for women in the industry. Shout out to ABC, Associated Builders and Contractors. What they're doing right now for folks in construction has been mind-blowing, needed. They've got some things that are rolling out next week. You guys keep your eyes open for it. It's going to be a game changer for the construction industry, anybody that's in construction. Similar to the lean, what you guys are doing, only on the people side of things, right? An academy for diversity, emotional intelligence, those kind of things.
Yeah.
So really excited about that. Yeah. I could shout out to a lot of people, and that's what makes me want to keep doing more. I'm surrounded by all these great people and organizations, right, that are doing great things. Like, I could sit home and watch the media and think it's terrible. But when I got out in the world and started meeting people and seeing all the good people doing all the good things, I'm like, how can I have a negative attitude? Like, I just need to quit watching TV. So, that would be it, and if you are down, if you are feeling anxious, if you are down, I just want to encourage you, look around, get connected with some people in your community. There's a lot of great people out there that are wanting to make a difference, and get to know them and make your life a better place too.
Boom. And we're going to close with that. Man. Woo! Now, was that not a powerful conversation? Christi's got it going on. And just like the rest of the L&M family out there, the behavior she demonstrates remind me to continue being humble and continue serving, and we are better together. Along with this being better together, I got to give a shout out to Miss Maria Martin, member of the No BS tribe. This feedback she gave came in response to the last episode's closing, and shout out to the whole L&M family out there for helping us achieve the 5,000 downloads. I got pretty emotional. I was overcome with emotion and gratitude and all of the beautiful touchy-feely things. And you can hear it in the audio, and you can see it on the video now that it's on podcast. So don't make fun of me, y'all. But Miss Maria Martin says this: Jesse, you are doing an amazing job. Thank you for meeting me where I was on this portion of the journey. Some of y'all already know this, but for all the new L&M family members, my style of supporting people is meeting them where they're at, understanding where they're coming from, where they're starting, and where we're headed, so that I can escort them through self-discovery and developing into the servant leaders that our industry so desperately needs. And as we all grow together, be cool, and we'll talk at you next time. Peace. Man, you are one dedicated listener, sticking with us all the way through to the very, very end. Please know that this podcast dies without you, and we invite you to share how the episode's impacting you, along with your thoughts, questions, and suggestions. You've been gracious with your time, so we added social media links in the show notes to make it super easy for you to connect with us. Be kind to yourself, stay cool, and we'll talk at you next time.